All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is your AstroShaman, Pernell Bobby. We are here generating an economy of harmony, leveraging human design and genetic astrology. In order to do that today, we're actually going to leave a little bit of human design out. We're going to stick strictly to astrology, and this is going to be astrocartography. I have a couple maps off to the side that I'm going to pull up, and this is actually a huge excitement. So I'm going to show you briefly in the early stage what an astrocartography map can look like. Uh, you see a tremendous amount of lines. Let me see if this is, yes, this is the one. You see a tremendous amount of lines. All these lines coming down are representing, if you notice, Venus symbol, MC being your career. Okay, you got a Venus DC line. Actually, one of the big ones we're going to talk about today is a Saturn line and a moon line, a moon DC, which is your descendant or your seventh house, considered an angle, as well as Jupiter line, which I think is actually here, Jupiter MC line, Jupiter MC in its zenith. So we're going to talk about some of those, and you see those lines, they kind of come down to different points. So I'm pulling up one of my major hometowns. I was not born here, but I was raised mostly in Connecticut. So I'm going to talk about a hometown line, which for me is actually a, as you see right here, it's a moon that crosses over Saturn. So it's literally inside this green circle, right? It is a moon that crosses over Saturn. So what is important when you first look at this, what's important is, I'm gonna kind of step back out for a moment and come to you. So what is important about this line, step one, we got to realize that it's already going to bring up different charts. So this is the major thing that early on I did not know. Shout out to Darius. If you're out there, he's the first one to put me on. Where, for example, I'm a Scorpio rising, but in this hometown that I just showed you, where I have my moon crossing my Saturn, I'm actually a Sagittarius rising. And the degrees, they drastically changed. I mean, from a third decan Scorpio rising to a first decan Sagittarius rising. So already you got to understand that when you're relocating somewhere, that's not what this video is about today. I'm going to give you some more of the basics, but I needed you to understand that so that you don't just run off like I did and thinking, oh, it's my natal chart, I can run off with that. It's like, no, you have to apply the chart of what it would be if you were in that exact location where you're going to relocate. The major thing about this from a relocation standpoint is to make sure that you're not, it's not just a visit. If it's just a week, 2 week vacation, these visits really won't have the same kind of impact as a relocation chart. In fact, I feel that our natal charts have been able to do more than enough rather than considering it an entire relocation chart, because it takes time to acclimate to those energies. So without any further ado, let's go ahead, let's get into it. What's going on, Maria? Love the knowledge, changed my life, moving into 9-1. So Rena, for example, Rena and I did a chart reading, and it's like, we didn't actually do an astrocartography reading. She had a different one-on-one session, and we kind of dipped into her cartography. But I didn't, for example, go into her actual chart that would be in the location she was looking to relocate long term. But that's just part of what time afforded. So this is a prime example, right? It's more a matter of saying like, hey, look, where you're at, where's she currently at, what's that influence? So before I go any further, hit the thumbs up and the likes button. We are running a retreat, my partner and myself, Eileen the Mexican Bruja, November 9th to the 16th. It's the Sacred Innovators Retreat. A month after the retreat, it'll be 8 days here in Mexico, Guadalajara, Mexico, which we're going to talk about today. It's my Jupiter line, but I have even closer a sun line there. So it's big on career for sure. After 1 month after the retreat, we're going to run a follow-up 8 weeks course. So We do this all the time. It's standard procedure. This retreat is happening in the city, and we're going to take some excursions out into nature, but we're teaching you and training you how to really access your own spirituality, all your gifts, but still in the middle of the chaos, maintaining an inner peace. So definitely check that out. Apply. Okay. Applications are rolling in one by one. We're taking people. That's why I haven't been able to do many lives and many videos, even because a lot of that stuff's happening back door. So definitely check down in the chat, all right, or in the description, and you'll see that you can apply for this retreat coming up and take 8 weeks worth of mentorship with Eileen and myself. We'll alternate. I'll take a Sunday or Saturday, actually. I'll take a Saturday. She'll take the next Saturday, and we'll go on and off for 8 weeks. So she'll lead her individual classes, and I'll lead mine. Okay, now back into the astrocartography. Today we're going to talk the basics. So one of the big basics on step 1, let me pull up this chart. I personally like to work with 600 kilometers or 372 miles. If you're from the one system in the world, America, where we use miles and everybody uses kilometers. I like to use the 600. Anything within this, very intense energy. Now, I also specifically circled 4,000 kilometers up top because you'll see here, and maybe I can make a little, yes, okay. So that worked, but let's just go like this. Okay, that works. So I'm specifically looking at this 4,000. My home line, where I'm from in Connecticut, for example, I do have my moon crossing Saturn. Tough on relationships, not gonna lie. Any relationship out of integrity, not even digging into my chart, just looking at the Saturn line and its basic influence as a planet, not the fact that my Saturn is in Aquarius, okay? This is the key major thing, not the fact that my Saturn is in Aquarius, just the fact that Saturn stands for time. And the IC is where we retreat, where we find a sense of security, emotional security, where I take the time to understand my own personal emotions so that I can better understand the emotions from the people across from me. So this is where I spent most of my life getting trained there, but as well, simultaneously in my significant relationships, which is now talking the DC, okay? It's now talking to DC on the moon. The DC is the 7th house. What's important about something like an IC or a DC, like you see here? These are angular houses. And this is very, 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 very important. These are angular houses. So, Rena, I do see your message. Side note, these are angular houses. So these houses get things moving, and they really talk about brand new beginnings in different areas. I see beginnings and getting things moving in the emotional space, really not allowing myself to be gaslit, but also understand that I'm going to have situations where I was gaslit. And this is where I would feel like I was not supported, AKA Saturn, right? Saturn is where we don't feel supported. So part of where I didn't necessarily feel supported on this IC, on this line that I grew up on, not even involving the zodiac signs, is my own emotional world. Like, and a lot of that's because in my significant relationships, which you see over here, where I'm moving this thing, in my significant relationships, one-on-one, I'm now basically nurturing and taking care of those relationships and nurturing and taking care of other people's emotions more than my own. This is where lines like lines that cross. This is a very complicated example for me to tell you that we're doing a basic reading today, but lines that cross two planets, they really do make a very tough influence because you have to take in all the factors, the zodiac, where it's at, the chart rulers, everything. So if I gave you an example, I have an Aries moon and I have a Saturn in Aquarius. I need to take into account my Aries moon and how an Aries moon would deal with significant relationships, which ultimately, out of insecurity, would want to give more, which is essentially overgive when we're talking about in my significant relationships, being highly sensitive to relationships as well as highly compassionate to the point where I'm like, oh my God, I'm so loving here at an instinctual level. I'm reacting in relationships and I'm unable to be proactive in relationships. Saturn says that it's going to take me a long time to understand this at an emotional level before this begins to make sense. So I'm now in my 30s, for example, where when I go home now and I take my visits, these things are very healing for me because I'm already past my Saturn return now. Now, before I was past my Saturn return, for example, with this planet being Saturn involved, this was much more complicated. This equated to overgiving, associating love with either gifts, recognition, okay, status being formed. It's like, okay, give this person a title, move him from, rep to executive representative. And it's like that equates to, oh my God, this boss or this authority figure loves me and it supports me at an emotional level. Now, Saturn would say something very clear like, yo, throughout time, that's no longer my measure of success. That's no longer my measure of blah, 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 blah. And so when I say measure, we're actually talking Venus. Venus is the measure, it's the yardstick. It's the yardstick of judgment. So again, another complicated ass line where this Venus line in astrocartography, if you will, we're talking something very different. My Venus is now in Gemini. Again, if I take the Gemini part out, it's like embodying myself, because it's on the AC, which is considered the ascendant, embodying my own. So you have a Saturn in the fourth. No, that's not what that's saying. Although, ironically, and not always, my Saturn is in the third for Placidus, but ironically, this is the key. Ironically, whole sign, my Saturn is fourth house. Yet, that does not have to be. So it does not mean that the IC, for example, is fourth house. That is not it, because the IC is the medium coli. Like the MC is Hemonicum coli, medium coli. Yeah, medium coli is MC, excuse me. So it's the I word. I forget the word right now, I'm blanking. Let's say I coli, IC line. That's not your fourth house. It's where your fourth house begins. It's an angle. So it's, in a sense, it's taken us from the completion of our third house and it's beginning the angle, which is a lot of times tension. It's a separating from what was, from an ending. So again, that's more of astrology. To help you understand from an astrocartography standpoint, know your fourth house is not your IC, though they lap. So, for example, you've been living on a Mercury Saturn line. I see this here. I don't know what that means exactly. I don't know if you're saying Mercury crossing Saturn. So I'm gonna come back. Let me see. Let me see if I have a chart here that has an IC, and then. All right. So I'm gonna pull up a different chart. I'm gonna pull up this chart here, which is actually my. Stop sharing. Okay, let's go share screen, Windows. Let's go this one. Did I do the right one? Okay, yes. Okay, so just to answer your question, this IC down here is 27 degrees, right, of Pisces. This is what you see. This is my chart specifically for the location of Connecticut, not my natal chart I was born with. The chart changes. So this IC here, okay, is in Pisces. This is my Pisces, 27 degrees IC. Now, for example, my IC in my natal chart is actually 0 degrees of Pisces. So already that's a 27-degree shift. That's almost an entire zodiac category. So understand how far off it is in the beginning. Now, if I look here, this chart here, my sun, for example, is not in the fourth house. My sun is not fourth house. Whole sign, my sun is sixth house. It's over here where now you see this Venus. It's in the sixth house, but that's not this chart. This chart, where I was raised, it's a fourth house line, right? So My fourth house here is in Aries, but that's not this IC, which is landing in Pisces. It's a perfect example. So I'm going to backtrack now. I'm going to backtrack so I don't get too lost. ICDC. Oh, okay. Thank you. So now I'm understanding. So your Mercury is your IC, your Saturn is DC. Again, Maria, I love this. Today, I'm going to stay with the basics because I'm going to get way too lost in it. But stick with me and I promise we're going to learn something brand new. All right. So let me pull back up to this chart before I move to where I'm at in Guadalajara, separate from Connecticut, where this chart was just looking at. All right, here we go. So this is the chart. For starters, I'm already out of range. Let's take this, and we're going to change the color so you know what I'm talking about. So I now have this color changed, right? No, that's not a good one. Let's just do black. Okay, cool. 4,000 kilometers is very far. It's very far from this 600 kilometers. It's very far. So already the natural influence of this home line of mine is way too out of range, like 4, 5, 6 times out of range, which means that though I was on this moon crossing Saturn line, it's not very strong. It's not very strong. I could have played with this up to 800 kilometers, 700 kilometers, even 900 to play around. But 4,000, too far. Now, what isn't as far on this same line, now what's dope about AstroCartography is you can, when you get into astro.com, you can put harmonious aspects, for example, and you could do disharmonious aspects. I clicked both, okay? It's not going to change because I have this already saved in PDF, but it could be harmonious and disharmonious, okay? So that's one thing that's cool. Again, shout out to Darius. He's one of the first people to show me that, all right? Now, what's interesting here is 226 degrees is very much closer compared to that 600 kilometers that you see right there, right? It's changing the story a lot. 226 degrees. Now we're talking, I go back to my Saturn and it's sextiling, which is the trine and the sextile is already much more harmonious. We all know this, which means it's sextiling my ascendant, which at the time, my ascendant here is Sagittarius rising with my Saturn and Aquarius. So what this is already telling me off the rip, that I myself was like a walking book. I was living a story on this line, right? Sagittarius publishes, my Saturn is in the 3rd house, for example. It takes a long time to tell the story. There's a lot of karma involved with telling this story. There's a lot of places within my own personal speech, my body language that I suffered with, considering the moon line, based off of giving, basically to skip ahead, I was overgiving and not giving enough to my own emotional needs, my own instinctual needs. I was reacting and I wasn't being proactive. That's the simplicity. Now this trine is bringing harmony to that same impact, and it's much closer, and it's underneath that 600 kilometers or underneath that 372 miles. So what's beautiful about this is, I mean, first off, you can always read the line impact, right? Not particularly strong, not particularly spectacular, so it says, right? But you're feeling self-assured, health is stable, relationships are solid, more solid, gaining advantage early, and realistically reviewing your current situation. So there's a little bit more to that. And it's kind of what I said to you about every time I visit home and I go to this line, that's where I really have a timestamp where I'm like watching how much I personally, my ascendant sign, how much I have evolved, how much I have expanded at a personal level. Because when I go here, I'm a Sagittarius rising. Even though standardly I'm a Scorpio rising. So when I go here, I'm a Sagittarius rising. So I myself, I'm seeing through a more optimistic lens every single time I go home. Craziness happens. I'm not going to lie, because there's still all of this other Venus is crossing Saturn, right? My Mercury is crossing Saturn. My moon is crossing Saturn. There's a lot of difficulty at an emotional level, at a relationship level, and at a mental level. There's difficulty written all over there. In my career with this MC here, for example, in my career, my career in this MC and Saturn, right? My childhood, it's just tough. But as tough as it is, this line, as weak as this line is weak in comparison. It's a harmonious aspect, but it's not an overly potent line. It's a sextile. Like we know, sextiles are good lines, but trines are stronger. Now the Saturn is trining and the sextile is happening to the ascendant. So it's just saying that it's not, if it was just a trine between the Saturn and the ascendant, it might even be a little bit stronger. But it is very potent. I'm telling you from personal experience, this line allows me to see outside of myself, of what has my journey really been like as I travel from country to country. Living in Thailand, living in Bali, going to Germany, going to Europe and different places, Spain, all these different places, living in Colombia, all these places. When I go home to Connecticut, I have a timestamp in history, and I get to see my personal development, my personal growth. All right, so let's step out of this. I'm going to come back to you, see if there's any questions, because I couldn't see anything before. Living on a live line your whole life. Wow. My curiosity is like, how close? How close, right? And what are the other aspects? And key thing, remember, when I was in there, you can click in astro.com, you can click harmonious aspects and disharmonious, because if I didn't do that, I would only have that 4,000-mile moon crossing Saturn line, which is very far out from any line, but that's nowhere close to showing me and revealing this 220-kilometer line that is a positive aspect, right? So I would only think from one end, which is not very close. So, and that's not me going through all of them. Quite frankly, there's a lot. I'm trying to stay closer to the basics. So I'm going to show you a different example where I am now in Guadalajara, Mexico. Thank y'all for hitting the thumbs up and the likes. Thank y'all for hitting the subscription button. For those of you who are new, members are meeting up tomorrow. We have our midterm on Mars, Venus, and Saturn. So again, you know, I've been giving a lot of attention and energy to the members. So thank y'all for making these shifts and these adjustments. Maybe this Jupiter line and line I'm on now will help me and help y'all all understand how this plays out. So let's pull up the next chart. And this is the only two that I'm going to show you today. I'm going to do a separate video later about the relocation and showing the different charts and blah, blah, blah. So step one, share screen. That's home map, AstroCartography, GDL map. Okay. Share. "80 kilometers, homie. No wonder why you're so obsessed with your Lilith, yo." Damn. I never knew that in any of our readings that we did. So that's bonkers. I never really applied that. You never did a cartography reading, but that's a different story. Wow, that's mad crazy. You threw me off guard with that. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to close this because I'm not going to go back. I'm going to try to simplify my day. Okay, so now I currently live here in the city of Guadalajara, Mexico, where we're running a retreat. What's major, you see this orange line? This is a sun line running right through, literally at 0 degrees. I'm smack on top. I'm 0 degrees. So this is a sun, okay? My identity, recognition, internal authority running right through my MC. So how other people would see me, okay? The career path that I'm taking without even digging any closer, just looking at the sun and the MC, which I think I could do over here. Okay. Yes, right here. It's right here. Oh, shit. Excuse my language. Okay, so we have the Sun MC, right? We have the Sun MC line. So without digging into my sun sign or my MC, it's 0 kilometers, which you see, which is already like, wow, wow, wow. Thank you, Jesus. I didn't know. I just felt a draw to move here. I just felt the draw to move here. And I did look up my astrocartography, but I didn't go so deep, nor did I put the harmonious aspects and the disharmonious aspects. So without doing that, here's what I saw. I saw this line. Oh, that's a bad one. I saw my Jupiter zenith on the MC. That's what I did see. I'd never looked at the fact that I have a sun line here, which you see up top. So I was moving here only really with this information. And it was about, and let me type this out, 2,000, I think like, I'm just gonna say 2,000 kilometers. So this line is about 2,000 kilometers, which again, much closer than that 4,000, literally half the distance, not 600 still. So it is the zenith. The zenith of any line is the highest possible potential for the line. Like it don't get no better. And so it's still above. I don't know what 2,000 kilometers translates into miles, but I'm not really smack on top of that Jupiter line. But it is the zenith. And there is a lot of aspects that's happening even with my MC. Like you see down here, you see the zenith, the Venus in zenith as well, right? So there's a couple different aspects. And again, I don't know what the range is on this right now, the zenith, and or for my Venus. I don't know the kilometers. I would have to be in astro.com. But again, like I said, this is a PDF, so work with me today, okay? I can tell you and I can promise you that as much as I'm 2,000 miles away, I feel the influence of Jupiter here. My career just continues to expand. It's the truth. And the key thing with this is what I put into it is what is expanding. Now, what I can also say on one end, thinking about this Jupiter line here, drinking, right? Party, whatever you feed it will grow. There was a point when I was doing lives early here when I first got here, and I was drinking on some of these lives. That expanded. And that does feed into hubris. It does feed into extra cockiness. And I attracted extra people. I attracted so many more people, not in the place of confidence, in the place of cockiness. So understand that Jupiter expanded that. When I find myself drinking those lives, the people that I'm attracting that frequency. And this is very energetic. Remember, Jupiter really represents a lot of the unseen. So this is one of the downsides because publicly, what I was doing on lives, this is the MC, that's the energy that I was attracting. And I can promise you that it took me a long time to clean it up to the point where now it's like, I don't even drink at all. Like I just made the personal commitment. I was like, I'm not touching anything. It just doesn't serve me at this point. And as that happened, my career purified and I got more clear on the journey. Okay. I found meaning in my career. Literally, I wasn't just doing it to do it. And I don't think I always was just doing it to do it. I just didn't understand the influence that this Jupiter had on me. My Jupiter's in Leo, and Leo was the party. My Jupiter is in Leo, and Leo is the party. Hear what I said. My Jupiter is in Leo, and Leo is the party. Now, let's elaborate on that. Let's elaborate on that. Let me show you the other screen, and I have a different chart for here. Okay, where's that chart at? Is this you? Nope, that's not you. We're gonna close that. Yeah, remember I had my is it this one? Okay, thank you. Yeah, remember I had my rising at Sagittarius before. Well, check it out. Check it out. I'm now Scorpio rising. You'll also remember that my IC before was come on, man. Come on, baby. Play with your boy. Okay, I got my marker. Okay, so we're gonna go None. So yeah, I remember before my IC was in Pisces at 27 degrees, right? Now you check it out, 27 degrees Pisces. Oh, stop clicking, bro. Okay. So before it was 27 degrees Pisces. This is an entire 33 degrees. That's a zodiac sign and some different that my IC has officially shifted here in Guadalajara versus my home where I grew up most of my years. Most of my years. So when you're doing a cartography, you understand step one, that is much more complicated, is a lot of charts. Like right now on my screen, I have about nine, no, not nine, I'm lying. I did like 7 charts, 7 different charts between Bali, Chiang Mai. I didn't even do my Colombia one yet, and I lived there for like 2 years. That's 2 years I need to understand. I didn't even do my Colombia chart yet. I didn't even get into it. It's a lot of information, but you see the difference already here. So let's move up and let's talk my Jupiter here. So that's a really big circle. I don't need one that big. Okay. So Jupiter here, and then we also have the MC here. MC is 24 degrees in Leo. Okay, we said my Jupiter in the MC line. Okay, so already what's important is if this 3 degrees and 24 degrees, anything within a conjunction, especially considering that it's at this angular house, which is this MC. Okay, this MC is the angular house. Green is not a good color. Let's go red. Okay. Oh, you got it. Let's go purple. Okay. You see this line? This is the MC line going up and down. If it was conjunct, let's say 6 degrees, okay, anything from 18, let's say if it was 18 degrees Jupiter, this now applies a crap ton more pressure. Like, for example, this rising sign, which is 3 degrees, right? This is only 3 degrees. 3 degree orb. Come on, baby. So this is a 3 degree orb, right? This would already say, without looking at anything astrocartography related, that on this place, Pluto has a major impact on me. So first off, thank God I'm not here while Pluto is transiting, because that would be a complete and utter annihilation. Complete and utter annihilation. Like, I might literally come on here. You might have seen me one day as an astrologer, and then after that transit, I would literally be a drag queen who does NASCAR racing. That's how different my personality would be if Pluto is transiting. Now, same time frame, I have and was here on some eclipses in Scorpio in November 2022. And I promise you that jump rocked me. My life is entirely different, especially my dreams. Okay. This is 12th house here. My dreams have become very informative, and they have been coming back within me when I wake up. When I wake up is the deepest psychological time frame for me, and it all is about my dreams. And I get major indication on my dreams about my public career, as well as just my career in general. Like, my dreams are guiding my career on a whole nother level. And this line here is doing that for me. Major, major. Now, let's pull up. I want to learn to understand this. Oh, yeah, we're going to do it. We got to step by step it. We got to step by step it. All right, here we go. So I showed you that Pluto. Let's go to the GDL. So step one, I almost want to see, is there any ascendant? Okay, so step one, can you see this here? Yes, y'all saw that line I just drew. Okay, great. So step one, I'm already looking at this harmonious aspect. My north node, okay, faded moves, changing my entire direction. That AC is that 3 degree orb close to the ascendant line. AC is ascendant, ACS is ascendant. That AC on that ascendant line major directional shift, especially in all things scorpionic. I'm telling you, I promise you, that the transformation on this has been absolutely bonkers. First off, let's check where's my what's my node here? So my north node is in the third house on this chart. So my north node is in the third house. Okay. Step one, how I've been scheduling, how I've been doing out my daily routines, literally like just my daily scheduling. Because third house is scheduling, for example, it has changed drastically. How much time I spend on media when I've been here has changed absolutely drastically. Again, another third house. How much time, literally, like if you notice, I was doing so many lives, and it was a part of my business plan, literally. Capricorn, North Node. I'm a Capricorn North Node. So business, Capricorn, right? It was literally a part of my business plan to run lives and get people to watch as long as they possibly can, so I can get my 4,000 hours when I was on my route to getting 1,000 subscribers. That's an example. That's an example. And when I came here, this has drastically shifted. Because by the time I got here, I was already past 1,000 subscribers, for example, by the time I moved to Guadalajara. So this shifted my direction, completely shifted my direction. And eventually my business model changed altogether. And now I'm doing membership style basis. And I'm not spending a lot of time on the internet, third house. I'm not spending a lot of time. But this trine sextile aspect within and lower than the 600 kilometers, right? It has literally changed who I am and where I was going, my purpose for going in that direction, as well as learning the skills in media, in my communication, in my body language to start scheduling. It's like something like an example, for example, in my memberships. Like at one point, I was just like, some of them things were 4 hours long. And I was like, damn, like I love it. I'm passionate about this, but I am a very collective person. I have collective roles, collective duties. Like I gotta give myself, I'm spreading myself too thin. So again, scheduling, my documents, they shifted. And now it's like during midterms, I'm like, look, I'm aiming for 40 minutes, and there ended up being about an hour for the membership midterms, for example. And that's timing. That's timing. But for all that to happen, I myself had to change my identity, my personality. So that's an example of how that already kind of fit and worked out, right? All of these crossings, Mercury crossing Moon, Moon crossing Uranus, these are very complicated things to break up and break down. I still spend a lot of time thinking about it myself. Another key thing, I'm 0 degrees. This is probably the biggest one, the sun line in astrocartography. This sun line, sextile my MC, for example. My sun is in Aries. My MC was in Leo, like you saw. Okay, this is an exact trine. It was 24 degrees. It was 24 degrees. It's an exact trine for me. 24 degrees sun in Aries, 24 degree MC in Leo. It was it is an exact trine. And what I've noticed on a line like this, for example, how this impact, this is dead on me. I've never received so much hate in my entire life. Like this is one of the steps. Like, and when I say hate, like understand that the sun, everything around it is dark. This is the simple embodiment of Leo. It's like Leo transforms all low levels, all low level energies, all level frequencies, and it turns it into fuel. And this has been one of my big lessons of how to do that without overreacting, straight up. Especially considering, let's say, the line I grew up on, where I got my moon. I showed you earlier, my moon was crossing Saturn. Overreactive, overreactive. When I would find out that I crossed my own boundaries, because Aries doesn't have boundaries, Aries has to learn boundaries. Taurus is where boundaries start. Aries is only 0 to Europe. They don't have boundaries yet. So growing up on that line, all that lesson, all those years on that original Saturn moon line taught me how to really transform my reaction. And this sun line, for example, my MC, publicly speaking, right now, me on the other side of this line, what's the site? Astro.com. Astro.com. You can go to astro.com. You could just literally type locational astrology. Relocation Astrology, and then look for the astro.com. And you'll find it. You'll find it. So I put that up on screen so you can see. So now the key thing was, how do you not let the hate and the rage turn into something and instead become a fuel? And that was the key between Aries and Leo energy, right? Between Aries and Leo energy. This is one of the major themes. It's like, well, starters, it's about internal authority. It's about an integrity based on an internal level. And this trine has really, at 0 degrees, 0 kilometers, come on now, let's be real. It has really transformed how I respond in certain situations. I used to just respond thinking, yo, you want to fight? And I really meant it. I was like, I'm ready to send you my address. I'm ready to go to your address. Like very immature, very immature. I'm telling you, I am an Aries. Like they're very much, as a 5-1, I had to see the projections that I created outside of me to more deeply learn myself. And I realized like very immature, like I'm gonna go take a flight to your address and whoop your booty, right? This Sun Trine MC, for example, really helped me to respond in a mature fashion by aligning with an internal authority. That's one of the best things I find. Also, when I look at it like this, part of like really having a lot more ease and harmony is stepping into my identity. Because if you saw some of the lines I showed you earlier, for example, back when I had Saturn MC and all those, taking a long time to work through those squaring energies to my sun sign from where I grew up and where I was raised. But here, for example, it's just become a line that really helps me to recognize myself. And it's like, as I recognize myself, a lot of stuff began to dissolve. As I recognize myself and my own personal identity, I'm going to say in this instance, especially as an astrologer, it's like a lot less seeking outside. And I feel like I don't know what my lines were prior to this because that already kind of started happening. But here it became more conscious. I became more conscious of this. And this is what the sun do. The sun brings consciousness. It brings awareness. And so what Aries in my sun is a fresh new awareness about how I show up to other people in the world and how I want to show, who I want to show the world. What version of myself, of my identity, do I want to show the world? I want to show the world that I run retreats, for example. And so it's like part of this is to recognize myself as a retreat leader internally. And that ultimately allows me to align with the integrity at a deep internal level that makes it work. So that's an example of how this sun line has worked, at least for me, in a real life application. Do you have any questions? This is a good time for me to like kill it at this was the basics and then, let things expand as I do other videos. I am curious of how close my zenith is. But again, my Venus is in Gemini. I've seen this very clearly. Just got very close. Found out my closest ones: Moon, Sextile, MC. Cool. Moon, Sextile, MC. Cool. And like right there, like I could start making like speculations and yada yada yada. But it's like at the end of the day, I don't know her moon sign. I don't know her MC. Right. I don't know what aspects are being made, because another important part to this is understanding what are the aspects that are actually being made to that those planets, those points, right? So I'm going to give an example here. Ready? I now want to sit there and see something like, get my pen out, right? I'm looking, I'm just going to say, okay, look, I'm on a sun line. And what was it? Sun MC. Okay. So my sun and my MC. Yeah, there's no aspect. Oh, crap. What just happened? There's no aspects going from my sun to my MC. But what I can see now is my, oh my God, will you stop? Jesus, let me draw. Oh, I got it. I didn't pick the pen. Okay, so what I can see, I see this sun squaring on the Jupiter. That's an example, right? Let's see if I can change that color and make it more obvious. Okay, I do see this sun squaring the Jupiter. So this can be easily an overly inflated ego. So I need to apply that and understand that, okay, as I'm showing up on a public stage, how does this squaring to the Jupiter in Leo still have an impact on that Sun MC line? And I kind of gave that example earlier, especially with drinking. Like, that's the simplest example. It's like, oh man, like, this really made me arrogant. It's just what it is. And I attracted more arrogant people. It just what it was. And I realized, what was I consciously trying to avoid and run away from? So that's one way that square, I have to deal with that square, right? If I see the sun, I also see it squaring Saturn. So this also tells me right away, like, again, it's like I really got to match my media output, what I say. I have to say it in a sense where I actually let go of what is special about my identity, right? Like letting go of what's special about Pernell, about me, about who I am. I am Aries sun, right? Letting go of whatever ways I praise myself is the only way that I'm going to actually be able to maximize that sun MC line, or even the fact that I'm on this Jupiter line, because otherwise it becomes hubris, it becomes that excessive pride if I don't meet this with reality, right? So that's what you see there. My point is, um, to try to keep this at the basic, I hope I gave you at least a broad overscope as you hit that thumbs up and that likes button. Hope I give you at least a broad overscope on astrocartography and the absolute possibilities and how deep and forever that it goes. Again, I want to say shout out to Darius whenever he watches this, because he put me onto a lot of the new aspects to this that I never really covered, right? I did a lot more research from a superficial level, and it took me in some deep dives. So again, I owe him some kudos. He put me on a whole brand new point in the game where I'm like, wow, like I'm having this total unlock session. And even within that, you could start to see like, okay, you know, where's the moon at? When did the moon go over what zodiac? What placement? What moon aspects you have in astrocartography? Because the moon reveals, right? But it's just so absolutely endless. You can see the joy and the excitement in my face. If you do want our astrocartography reading, it is already on my site. It's been there. Feel free to book it. A couple people have. More people have seen it on the outskirts, like not really diving in. So I'm just happy to actually, something came into me like lightning and was like, yo, you ready to talk about this? So talk about it and then let it build from there. So I do plan on doing more astrocartography videos. If you're watching this at the end and you want to see more astrocartography videos, let me know. And I hope you understand the relocation and how to go through it at a deep level. The retreat is here. All right. You could type retreat if you want me to reach out, or you want to reach out to me, or to best do that, really put your application in, then I'll get your email, then we'll get your WhatsApp, and we'll go ahead and literally get on the line and do one of these rings and be like, yo, what's up? Okay, cool. And we'll go through that retreat candidate process. So that's that. Members are meeting up tomorrow, so tap in. We got the midterms going on. Mars, Venus, and Jupiter are the planets we're talking about. So when you're talking astrocartography, it's like if you don't really know the planets in depth, it gets that much harder to break down your cartography chart, because I'm still learning about the planets as I'm teaching it to other people. Like I'm learning new things all the time just through my research. And it's a never-ending process. Like I'm never gonna know it all. But we got to respect ourselves. And I think this, me being on this Sun MC line, is like, as I keep becoming more conscious about what my career and my lifestyle is revealing, things get really dope. Mr. Beginning, do you click the astrocartography map and it shows your closest aspect? Mine is Saturn crossing Neptune, which is 1,400 miles away. That's not including, that's a little far. Do you click your location on the map? Yeah, you click your location, and like I said, remember you can click the harmonious aspects, which I will show you here. So when you get to the astrocartography map, oh, I don't think you can. Oh no, this is not the one. I did the wrong one. My bad, y'all. Um, crap. Is this the one? Yes, this is the one. So when you get to the astrocartography, you have over here the opportunity to press this harmonious or disharmonious aspects. And when you do, you have to also click show details. So without showing the details, you won't see all of this that's down here. You won't see, if I left it with only this, for example, I left it only with the harmonious aspects. That's the wrong one. If I left it only with the harmonious aspects, it would have literally only shown me this sun MC. It's the only thing it would have shown me. All of this, oops, all of this would have been left out. All that in the middle would have been left out. So you have to click show details to get the rest of this. And if you want to see what line it was originally, you have to click show details again to take it off. So hopefully that answered your question. Aquamoon. My human design is an aquamoon. Love it. Love it. A little complicated sometimes, but when it's not, it's awesome. So again, hit the thumbs up and the likes button, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first live I did in a long time, but I just felt it. I was like, yes, I want to go at it. Members are meeting up tomorrow. If you enjoyed this, drop your favorite zodiac sign at the end of this message if you made it to the end. Help the algorithm get the videos up, get the videos liked, get the videos shown and seen. Share this cartography if you found it very interesting and potentially helpful. And from there, I look to do a little bit more complex versions of this, but I wanted to first start off with the basics and the one-on-one and then kind of dive in deeper as we go along. So I love you. I'll see you all soon. Thank you for being here. Book your reading with me if you're down and you're open for it. It's already on my site. It's under one-on-one astro bookings. And then when it actually, what kind you want to book, you press AstroCartography, and then we'll go ahead and dive in. If you're a member, you do get like 25% off of those bookings. So that's one of the dope things about being members. And I'll see you all soon. Love.